Good morning to all. Welcome back for class number 4 of the chapter number 1 operating system. So last class I discussed about the layer approach and what are the advantages. And now we are going to discuss about the disadvantages of this layering architecture. Before that we are going to explain about the simple structure. In the simple structure method, the whole operating system is separated into several layers from 0 to n, and as the diagram shows, each of the layer must have its own specific function to perform, and there are some rules in the implementation of the layers as follows. The outermost layer must be the user interface layer, and the innermost layer must be the hardware layer. A particular layer can access all the layers present below it, but it cannot access the layers present above it. That is, layer n-1 can access all the layers from n-2 to 0, but it cannot access the nth layer. So if the user layer wants to interact with the hardware layer, the response will be travel through all the layers from n-1 to 1. Each layer must be designed and implemented such that it will need only the services provided by the layers below it. So, as we discussed the advantages, these are the modularity, means the design promotes modularity as each layer performs only the tasks scheduled to perform. Next is it is very easy to debugging. As the layers are discrete, so it is very you can say very easy to debug. Suppose an error occurs in the CPU scheduling layer, so the developer can only search that particular layer to debug, unlike the monolithic system in which all the services are present together. And the easy update, a modification made in a particular layer will not affect the other layers. Next is your no direct access to hardware. The hardware layer is the innermost layer present in the design. So user can use the services of hardware but cannot directly modify or access it, unlike the simple system in which the user had direct access to the hardware. Next is your environment. Abstraction. Every layer is concerned with its own function, so the functions and implementation of the other layers are abstract to it. Next is what are the disadvantages? A very complex and careful implementation and slower in execution. So first come to the complex and careful implementation. As a layer can access the services of the layers below it, so the arrangement of the layers must be done carefully. For example, the backing storage layer uses the services of the memory management layer, so it must be kept below the memory management layer. And thus with great modularity comes complex implementation. Slower in execution. If a layer wants to interact with another layer, it sends a request that has to travel through all the layers present in between the two interacting layers. That means when a layer wants to interact with another layer, it sends a request that has to travel through all the layers present in between the two interactive layers. Suppose layer 1 here, suppose this layer n it try to interact with this layer 0. That means it sends to request to the all layers which are placed between the layer n and layer 0. Right now, so that's why it is the slower in execution. It increases response time definitely, because all the response go through the all the layers between this layer n and this layer 0. Unlike the monolithic system, which is faster than this, that's why the monolithic layer, that means the MS-DOS, whatever, it is very faster than compared to the layer architecture. But in case of the security ground, or in case of the extension features or operation features, it is very user friendly in case of for the layer approach, right? Because all the systems are in layering architecture. There is abstraction there. No layer can be it cannot be interfered to the other layer. So that is the layer approach. So overall, the operating system attempts to schedule computational activities, ensure good performance of the computing system. It provides a convenient environment for the development and execution of programs. Initially, computer systems were used from the front console, but software such as assembler, loader, linker and compiler improve the convenience of programming the system, but also require substantial setup time. To reduce the setup time, facilities higher operation and batch similar jobs. So operating system is nothing. It acts as the interface between the user and the hardware part or the kernel part. Kernel part is nothing. It is the point where the operating system generally booting from that point, and you can say the core software components of an operating system are collectively known as the kernel. The kernel has unrestricted access to all of the resources on the system. So kernel is nothing. It is you can say it is a seed, and it is placed with a high security in the operating system, and nobody can access that kernel system. So this is all about the chapter number 1. So thank you to all.